Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
T 5 seconds. Sir, as regards internal security, after the sad events of Mumbai, important steps have been taken to strengthen our internal security system, and they are working quite well. I am not saying that we are free or that we do not fear any fresh terrorist attacks. We are living in a highly uncertain world, so we have to be always prepared to deal with all eventualities. We have taken a large number of preventive measures. The intelligence system has been strengthened. The police system has been strengthened. The counter-terror mechanism have been put in place, and we are trying to incorporate whatever best practices are available in the outside world into our methods of internal security. Fortunately, on the communal front, communal situation has remained very satisfactory. When the verdict of the Babri Masjid case was to be pronounced by the Lucknow bench of the Allahabad High Court, there were great fears in the country that once again there may be a resurgence of communal hatred. I thank and congratulate the people of India as a whole that no such incident took place as the result of that declaration. That is the measure of the maturity that has come to our aid with proper education and with the development of economy. Events like the Gujarat events are a thing of the past, and I sincerely hope and pray that all political parties will work together to strengthen the cause of communal harmony and amity. With regard to external security, Mr. Chairman Sir, we have today good relations with all the major countries of the world. Last year, all the 5 leaders, the permanent members of the Security Council, visited India. This has never happened before. Whether you believe it or not, whenever I go abroad, people marvel that there exists a country like India of 1.2 billion people who are very committed to the democratic way of life, very committed to maintaining fundamental human freedom, very committed to the establishment of the rule of law. If we succeed in making a success of the Indian experiment of seeking our economic and social salvation in the framework of a democratic polity, I think India will have something to teach the rest of the world. It is my hope and prayer that in years to come we work as a united nation in a spirit of mutual cooperation to realize the objectives that the founding fathers of the Republic had set for our country. Democracy is one, secularism another, gender equality and equity is the third, and the fourth I would say is economic and social equity. It is these 4 prerogatives that should guide our policy framework. These are the issues which have been mentioned in the President's address, and these are the issues which are highlighted in paragraph 6 of the President's address. So, sir, I conclude my saying that we remain committed to the objectives and goal which were so dear to the founding fathers of our republic. Poverty eradication is our top priority and it is visible in this one generation's life. Together, we must work hard and work with all sincerity to realize the dream of ours, the dream of the father of our nation, to wipe every tear from every eye. The poverty eradication is a reasonable time period, is feasible today. We have the resources. If our economy grows at the rate of 8 to 9% per annum and we are able to continue the present tempo of development in future as well, we will double our national income in 8 years. As a result of our persistent efforts, I am sure we will have more money to spend on education, we will have more money to spend on health, we will have more money to spend on social welfare activities, and we will have more money to spend on environment protection measures. These are the goals which inspire our government. These are the objectives. I seek the help and active support of all the honorable members of this house to make this dream a reality. We are not a government which is, according to the leader of the opposition, a leaderless government. I agree that there have been some aberrations. We are not a government which is dysfunctional. We are a focused government. I do regret that those aberrations have taken place, but we have not lost sight of the long-term goal. We will stay the course and we will overcome the difficulties. In conclusion, I would thank all of you for giving me a patient hearing. Sir, there are many other issues. We are examining a case of money laundering under the money laundering legislation which has been inspired and mandated by the United Nations. I regret to see the performance of the finance minister the other day when he called the press conference to explain what is happening to the foreign money.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.